Welcome to a fireside chat about practice valuations with Paul from William Buck. Talking today about practice valuations for GP practices, but you can also look at this from a specialist practice point of view. The thing we're talking about today is the risk factor. So as I've said before, and I've been banging on about this for ages now, what is our practice valuation model? How do we work out the practice valuation? It's future maintainable earnings multiplied by this risk factor. In the last episode, I was talking about how and ways that you could look at starting to try and increase the profit of the practice. But now we're going to be talking about the risks. So the risk factors really impact the value of a practice. So going through and trying to address these can really drive up the profits. So what are the risk factors that you need to address? When you're looking at your practice and you think about what are the risks, it's pretty much a common sense point of view. It's the sort of things that you would look at a practice yourself as an owner or a potential owner and say, hey, this is something that bothers me and I don't feel comfortable about it. Things such as high doctor turnover. If there's a lot of GPs going through the practice or doctor turnover within the practice, it suggests that something's not working. You want stability within the practice. The same thing is when you're looking at general staff, admin, nursing staff. If they seem to be going, the culture of the organisation might not be good. And therefore, the organisation won't be running as well as it should be. Look at the location of the practice. Metropolitan practice can be a lot easier to recruit doctors into as opposed to a regional practice. If you're going regional, consider the DPA or non-DPA aspects of the practice. Work out if a doctor leaves, how long do I have to replace them? How hard is it going to be to replace them? Look at the number of registrars within the practice. Look at the number of supervisors for those registrars. If you're not going to be actually working the practice, you're looking at from an investment or a non-working doctor owner of the practice, consider who would be the supervisor of any registrars, because if the existing owners are the supervisor of the registrars and they're leaving the practice, you need someone to take that on board. Otherwise, you could suffer a double hit of revenue coming through. Look at the condition of the fit out. A lot of practices can get old and tired, and to maintain patients coming through the door, they're going to have some sort of capital input. Now, if you're paying top dollar for the practice and then have to go and spend additional money on a fit out, it's not a great investment. So you've got to make sure that the condition of the fit out is taken into account in evaluations. The same thing is the lease term on the practice. If you don't own the freehold of the practice, or you've got the opportunity to buy the freehold, the lease term is your security of tenure for that business. Understanding that how long is the lease going to run is critical. It will impact your ability to borrow as well, because if there's a short lease term, the banks will get nervous. Look at the conditions on the lease. Are you having to sign a personal guarantee on the lease, or are you able to put up just a deposit? It's always my preference to suggest just putting up a deposit or a bank guarantee with the landlord, as opposed to signing a personal guarantee on the lease. The personal guarantee on the lease exposes you to a lot more risk as the owner of the practice coming through. Look at the quality of the financial information. The next series coming up, we'll be talking about doing a due diligence on the financial information. Now, because the financials have been prepared by an accountant doesn't always mean that they're going to be right. I go through and have done a lot of financial due diligence for practices, and I always encourage my clients to get one done. It's not about accountancy's revenue raising for me. It's about making sure that the financial decision you're making is one based on correct information. Because if that information is wrong, you can be making a significant mistake and cost you a lot of money. And finally, look at the quality of the administration, the overall billing of the practice, whether it's bulk billing, mixed billing, or the mix there, percentages paid to doctors. It's a lot of information that you need to go through and understand from your point of view the risk factors of the practice. Understanding these as an owner before you exit is important as well, because it gives you time to go through and address this. It gives you time to go through and say, these are the risks around my practice. I've addressed these over a period of time to reduce the risk, and therefore the multiple should increase, like we were talking about in our last episode. Stay tuned for the next episode coming up. Cheers.